Now, don't get too excited about this, folks, but Zack Snyder is going home. This is the Sox Rocker Show. The film that made Zack Snyder a household name was 300, a movie he made for Warner Brothers back in 2006, a fictionalized retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae during the Greco-Persian Wars. The movie also put Gerard Butler on the road to becoming the successful action star that he is today. It grossed over $456 million, which was pretty damn good for 18 years ago. And the movie set a new standard for its extensive use of CGI. Now, the film, while successful, came with its fair share of negative reviews. Many thought it was overblown, many criticized it for being wildly inaccurate historically, and quite a few saw it as nothing more than a bunch of steroid-eating, half-naked dudes running around in loincloths and sandals, beating the hell out of each other. And I have to admit, in a way, that pretty much sums it up. But I liked the movie. Even then, I thought Snyder was onto something when it came to making his films. Apparently, so did Warner Brothers, because he was brought on to make what many feel is his best film to date, Watchmen, taken from the graphic comic series of the same name published through DC. Now, Watchmen was hardly successful at just over $187 million with a budget of around $130 million. It was rated R, made with mostly unknown actors at the time. But WB must have seen something in both films, because he became the chosen one to rebuild WB's DC movie universe. Now, I'm not going into great detail about it, because we all know how things turned out, unfortunately. We also know what he's been up to since then, judging by the never-ending back-and-forth banter about the guy on social media. Banter both good and bad. Now, one would have thought that the negative experience that he had with WB would have kept him from ever wanting to work for the company again. But Zack is coming back. Yes, Zack Snyder is returning to Warner Brothers to work on a prequel series to 300. So in essence, he has come full circle, creating a series about the subject of the film that made him a sought-after director in the first place. Now, I know there are many Snyder fans that have severely jumped the gun in thinking that this somehow will segue Zack into finishing what he started with his Snyderverse, and that would be incredibly cool. But the odds of that ever happening are about a gazillion to one, at this point anyways. Now, I'm not saying to give up all hope. I'm just saying, slow down there, sluggo. See, I see it this way. It's cool to see him working on something again that a lot of people liked and a lot of people enjoyed. I also like the fact that he has his foot back in the door at WB, because let's face it, they need to do something over there to help alleviate the growth of that 50-some-odd billion-dollar hole that they've created. And whether or not a few 100,000 Snyder haters like it or not, Zack is very popular, and his work will draw viewers. And besides, little Jimmy Gunn can't do it all, no matter what he thinks. And who knows what could happen down the road. Just saying. And hey, speaking of Jimmy Gunn, did you hear, according to IMDb and just about every other website, a rumor started circulating at Baltimore Comic-Con that little Jimmy Gunn is going to be writing his very own DC comic book series. Now imagine that. Now, Gunn hasn't said yay or nay either way, but it wouldn't surprise me none if he did write one for Superman, considering he's making the Superman movie. Now, I'm not sure where the co-CEO of DC, who is already directing and writing and producing everything under the sun, could ever find the time to do so, but with Gunn's giant ego, I wouldn't put it past him. And I find this rather interesting, so let's just see how this one pans out. And you know, Batman finally made it into the Hollywood Walk of Fame today. I have a couple of cool picks for y'all to see. First, we have this one. It's the one and only Burt Ward, who played Robin in the 60s Batman show. along with Batman himself. And then we have one of old Batsy flexing over his new star. Very, very cool. Well, that's it for this show, my friends. What do you think about Zack Snyder coming back to Warner Brothers? Is it a good move? Do you think it could lead to something even bigger? And how do you feel little Jimmy Gunn might feel about the one person he is constantly being compared to coming back to work for his bosses? And what do you think about James Gunn writing a DC comic? Is he taking on too much? Does he have an inflated ego? Or do you even care? Feel free to leave any comments that you may have down below. And if you like today's show, even just a little bit, why don't you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for stopping by. God bless and socks out.